What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my very own team selection for the upcoming Game Week 13. So yes, lucky Game Week 13 indeed. It seems like a lot of injured players are actually coming back from the dead, and I'll talk about a couple of those in the upcoming team selection. Otherwise, hopefully your international break has been good, but we're going to be getting straight back into the FPL action, starting off with the massive kickoff of Man City vs Liverpool coming up as the first game of the game week. So will our captain be playing in the early kickoff? I'll detail that a little bit later on, after I give a quick review of the Game Week 12 team. So that's something that you guys are interested in? Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over a quick review of Game Week 12, if you guys haven't watched my transfer plan, I went into quite a lot of depth for the team review, and I'll be going over it quite quickly, position by position. So as you guys can see, the biggest thing was the fact that we got a lovely green arrow just before the international break, which takes us to just below the 570k mark. That was thanks to 84 points, a pretty decent game week rank as well, and let me know how your game week went in the comments down below. Did you guys get a green arrow? Did you guys get a red arrow? And where are you guys sitting in the overall ranks currently? So going over a quick review of our bench, we didn't get many points. Archer, Gay, Taylor was a pretty kind of expected bench to be honest. But if you guys did have Tsimikas on your bench, my thoughts are with you. Strakosha didn't play, therefore Areola was our starting goalkeeper. He only amassed 2 points, pretty disappointing. That West Ham defense overall has been pretty tragic. That continued into our back line. We got Matty Cash and Gabriel both getting 2 points. Pretty disappointing from both these players. Thought they definitely could have racked up more, especially Gabriel, who actually featured against Burnley. Then the player in this week was going to be Lascelles. I brought him in for Tsimikas. So yes, I transferred out all those points, but I would have benched him for Gay anyways. And you guys know what happened with Newcastle. All those injuries came back to bite them, and they ended up losing. At least our midfield department redeemed our team quite a lot. Going to start off with Mo Salah on a massive 32 points, 16 obviously doubled. Now great game against Brentford. I was a little bit worried about this one, thought it might have been a little bit of a tougher game, but overall Mo Salah and Liverpool played pretty decently, and that's reflective on that 16-point appearance. Heung-min Son unfortunately blanked, tough game against Wolves. We saw that attack quite hindered with all those injuries, especially in the defensive department. No Maddison might actually affect Son more than we thought. At least Saka racked up an assist even though it was against Burnley, was expecting more to be honest, and his recent attacking form hasn't been that great. Our two differentials though, Jared Bowen got us a goal. This is a little bit strange because all his goals have come away from home, but this week he scored at home, so I was just grateful for those points from him. But our mega differential with Dingra, I think owned by about 1% of my current overall rank, had a Messi-esque goal, racked up all bonus points, and that ended him on 9. So the midfield department definitely did kind of resurrect our rank quite a bit. The Mo Salah captain was pretty nice, but unfortunately Erling Haaland actually matched him. Now you guys might be saying, why am I talking about an option in my team badly? Well, the fact of the matter is, his effective ownership at my overall rank was around 120%, so therefore because I didn't captain him, I actually dropped about 100k places. So yes, the green arrow could have been that much better if Erling Haaland ended up blanking, but at least I did own him at the end of the day. It's a really strong performance there. If you guys didn't watch the Man City vs Chelsea game, I do recommend you go watch the highlights. An absolutely mental football match, one of the best I've ever seen. Then we have Ollie Watkins, who also got only a goal in that game for Aston Villa. Unfortunately missed kind of an open goal, so the bonus points were nowhere near him. But at least it is another attacking return. So overall these players accumulated 84 points total. A very nice green arrow as mentioned, and let me know how your game week went. Now before we go over my actual transfer plan, I want to give you guys the context of my current team selection, because a transfer actually doesn't have to be made if all my injured players come back. Now we do actually have a benching dilemma this week. It's going to be Archer against Bournemouth. I could actually feature him in my starting 11, as long as he's guaranteed to start. Great game on paper. Unfortunately though, Sheffield United have one of the worst attacks in the Prem, but Bournemouth have one of the worst defenses. So yes, I could definitely play him, but I think I might rely on him to be first on my bench. And that way, if anyone's injured, he can just come off and I'll be perfectly fine with that. Otherwise, you have Charlie Taylor against West Ham. As you guys know, a lot of attacking injuries for West Ham at the current moment, so Charlie Taylor actually might get a clean sheet. I don't really trust the Burnley defense at the current moment. Charlie Taylor isn't the most attacking, so therefore I'm going to put him on my bench. Then finally, Lascelles, the transfer in for this week against Chelsea at home. I feel like the rest of my defense has better fixtures, so I'm going to bench the cheap centre back. Now let's go over our starting 11, and obviously Strakosha on the bench, so you guys know who's between the sticks. It's Areola against Burnley away, and I'm actually quite confident of hopefully some defensive returns, even though West Ham's defense is pretty terrible. I just feel like if he's going to keep a clean sheet, it might be in game week 13, but my expectations are definitely not that high. So just a reminder here that we brought him in because he was so cheap. I still believe at his price point, he's good value for money. And let's face it, the other goalkeepers haven't been performing that well. Then talking about not kind of performing well, our first defender is going to be Matty Cash against Spurs away. Tough game on paper. A lot of us even captaining Heung-min Son, so we think they're going to concede. But Matty Cash has always offered some attacking threat. I guess what I might do if I take out Jared Bowen, I don't have any West Ham attackers then, I might just play Charlie Taylor and hope that Burnley defense magically improves overnight. But at the current moment, I don't think there's any reason not to play Matty Cash. I mean, the ceiling might be there if he gets an attacking return, and that's how I'm just going to stick with him. But if you guys do want to make a defensive transfer, you can perfectly understand if you want to take him out, because Aston Villa fixtures do get quite tough shortly. Then we have the Crystal Palace centre-back Gay against Luton away. Good game on paper, would have liked if it was a home game, as Luton at home have been pretty decent. But I still feel like it's a good fixture on the cards. Gay does offer some attacking threat, so fingers crossed he gets some returns. Then the final option is going to be Gabriel, a player that you might be worried about. The reason for that is that he's probably going to return quite late after the South American qualifiers, but I still believe he's the second choice centre-back behind Saliba. So this is going to be a tough game on the cards for Arsenal, and therefore I do feel like Gabriel should be starting. The Brentford are a pretty good attack. So overall, as you guys can see, the defensive department yet again don't have that many expectations, but with the way things are going in the previous game weeks, so many defender points anyways. So I'm going to play who I have. Now as with the Game Week 12 review, the Game Week 13 midfield does look a lot better. We're going to start off with Mo Salah against Man City, a team that he actually loves to play. If you guys have looked at the historic stats, you know that Mo Salah does generally do quite well against Man City, and therefore if you guys want to put the Kamsi armband on him, I can understand it. Also just remember, the early kickoff does not apply to Mo Salah, it applies to every other option, and I can honestly see some goals in this fixture. Now the next option, I actually have the armband on. It's going to be Heung-min Son. His Aston Villa at home. I do also think, like Man City versus Liverpool, this game will have a lot of goals in it. Both sides generally play quite high lines. I can see Aston Villa scoring, I can see Son scoring, and that's why currently I've got the armband on him. If you guys watch my transfer plan, I had the armband on Jared Bowen, but because of his injury concerns, I returned to the South Korean. In terms of Kamsi, I think probably going to be the most popular option amongst the engaged managers, but just beware of that Erling Haaland effective ownership. Next up is going to be Saka against Brentford away. This is a fine game on paper. I don't think Brentford are the best defense at the moment. And like what Salah did last week on that right-hand side, I believe Saka is going to do the same. So let's see if he does improve that kind of XG and XA, because over the previous game weeks hasn't been that strong, but also do have some injuries that are returning. Then the next option is obviously the big question mark. It's Jared Bowen. On paper, this game looked like an absolute stellar one. I was even looking to captain him as a differential. But if you guys have seen the news, apparently he's got fluid on the knee after returning from the England camp. So he actually dropped out of that England camp shorter than he was expected, and apparently he's going to be seeing a specialist to see how long he's going to be out for. Now what I would recommend is that you guys just wait for this press conferences coming up on Friday. If David Moyes gives us some more information, hopefully he gives us some good information, whether Bowen's out and for how long. Now if he's going to be fine in training, if we get pictures of him training and David Moyes says he's fine, I'll definitely be considering keeping him. As mentioned, this Burnley game is too hard to ignore. So the biggest thing is just wait for those press conferences coming up tomorrow, but with the current news that we have in front of us, I am looking to take him out. Then the last option, Adingra, Brighton's best attacker at the moment. I just feel like he's probably going to be starting this fixture as he's been the main attacking outlet, even though Matomo's pictured in training and should probably also start. Now he is 5.0 million, so the expectations aren't that high, but I am looking for a nice goodbye present if I take him out next week. Now in terms of the fixture, this one is a little bit tougher on the cards. It's Nottingham Forest away. Their home record is actually pretty good, but I guess so is Brighton's attacking form. But as mentioned, a super differential, so any points from him are going to be massive. I just hope he outperforms Cole Palmer this game week. Now up front, as usual, is going to be Erling Haaland. Liverpool at home, probably my second favorite option in terms of Kamsi. I just feel like because this is a home game for Man City, they're definitely going to score. Now I know that Erling Haaland's form against Liverpool hasn't been that great in the past, but I wouldn't look into that too much. Another thing that you might be worried about is the fact that he's currently yellow flagged. I wouldn't be too worried. We're probably going to get early team sheet news anyways if Pep isn't transparent tomorrow in the press conferences. I mentioned this early on with Heung-min Son, but his effective ownership is still sky high. Just be prepared if you guys do go differential, you're going to be hoping that Erling Haaland stays quiet. I won't be hoping that Ollie Watkins stays quiet. I do hoping in Spurs that he puts up a good performance, even seen some people captaining him for game week 13. I'm not as confident in captaining a player that usually misses chances and probably isn't on penalties, but I'm still comfortable owning him for this fixture. But this 2 up front is pretty unchanged, pretty template. So if I don't captain Erling Haaland, I hope he stays quiet, whereas Ollie Watkins, I hope he goes massive. Now on reflection, we've just gone through the entire team selection at the current moment, but you guys can see on the right hand side 2 free transfers and 0.5 left in the bank. So yes, I have to make a transfer for the upcoming Game Week 13, so let's go over some options. So as mentioned in my kind of team selection, the press conferences tomorrow are going to be super integral. All these players returning from the international duty, there might be more injuries than we're currently noting, and obvious updates on someone like a Bowen are going to be super useful. So with the information in front of us, and because I have 2 free transfers, if Jarrod Bowen is going to miss the Burnley game, I probably will take him out. So let's go over some options that I could replace him with. Now if David Moyes tomorrow says that he's fine to play the weekend and he's definitely going to be starting, I definitely will keep him, and I'll be going over an option later on that I might do. But for the time being, I want to show you my transfer plan for the Jarrod Bowen out plan, and I'm going to be going over my 3 favorite options. The first option is going to be Mbeumo at 6.8 million, the very kind of conservative approach. He's the most safe option to go for, the most kind of template option to replace Bowen with, and I'm actually looking to bring him in next game week. My next favorite option is going to be Eze from Crystal Palace at 6.1 million, great value for money, had a few price drops with that injury, but I still feel like he's an absolute baller. Then my last option is going to be Cole Palmer at 5.2 million. He's the budget option of choice, great value for money, and if he continues to get pens like he has in the previous game weeks, going to be an absolute steal. Now the reason I'm actually going to be going over all 3 of these options is I do believe in the next 4 game weeks I'll have all of them in my team, so consider this a transfer plan for game week 13 but also onwards. So you guys might be wondering why there's so much space between the player picture and the name. Don't worry, it's going to be for the fixtures, so let's bring those up on screen. So let's talk about these replacements in terms of like for like. I do believe if you guys are looking for only 1 replacement for the future game weeks, Mbeumo is the best option. Yes, he has Arsenal in the next fixture, Game Week 13, probably the second hardest fixture, I would argue. And I'm not saying that he won't score in this fixture, but FPL is going to be one that you probably want to avoid. Then after that though, Luton, Sheffield United, great fixtures on the cards, but unfortunately actually blanks in Game Week 18. So if you guys don't know, Man City are playing in the Club World Cup in Game Week 18, and they were playing Brentford, so that game has been postponed. Now you guys could simply just bench Haaland, you can bench Mbeumo. At the current moment, most of us have playing benches, so that could be the strategy to look at. So as mentioned, if you guys are looking for 1 replacement for the next few game weeks in your midfield, I think Mbeumo is the safest option. But if you guys have seen my team, there are 2 options that I'm actually looking to replace. The first one is Jarrod Bowen if he's obviously injured, but the second one is Adingra next game week. So that's where Eze comes into account. Because of the Jarrod Bowen money, he comes in at 7.5 currently in my team. If I choose to go for Eze in Game Week 13, I actually can afford Adingra to Mbeumo in Game Week 14. Now I can afford it right now with 0.1 in the bank. Mbeumo might rise tonight, so that might get quite close, but I still might be able to afford that move. So the current plan I'm looking at is going for Eze as my Bowen replacement instead. I want to jump on these next 3 fixtures. It's Luton, West Ham and Bournemouth. All 3 of them are some of the worst defenses in the Prem, and I just feel like Eze and Crystal Palace can do quite well. Then next week in Game Week 14, I can take Adingra to Mbeumo with the exact funds, and then I get those 4 lovely fixtures. That way I also avoid that Arsenal game. I just believe I'd rather go for Eze against Luton than Mbeumo against Arsenal, but I guess it is kind of banking in a transfer for next week. I am comfortable with it though because I am going to use it anyways, as I just feel like Adingra isn't the best option at the moment. Now you guys will be asking me why I've gone for Cole Palmer as well then. Well, the transfer plan gets even more in depth. Come Game Week 16, when Chelsea face Everton, I'm looking to take Eze out as he is Liverpool. So the current plan is to go for Bowen to Eze this week, then next week Adingra to Mbeumo, then Game Week 16 we take Eze out after the next 3 fixtures and bring in Cole Palmer for that lovely Chelsea run. Now obviously we might go for Cole Palmer, we might go for Sterling if we can manage to find the funds. I just want to showcase that I'm looking to take a short-term punt on Eze. So yes, this transfer plan might be overcomplicating it, but I just believe I'm quite excited about it. This season has been pretty template, pretty boring, and this transfer plan kind of excites me quite a bit. As you guys know, I'm a fixture manager, and therefore the next 3 for Crystal Palace are too hard to ignore, and I would prefer to avoid the Mbeumo Arsenal game. So comment down below, what are your thoughts on this transfer plan? Do you guys like it? Do you think I should go safe? Do you think I should just bring Mbeumo in this week if Jarrod Bowen's out? I'm really open to suggestions and your guys' thoughts. Now what I will say is that if you guys can't afford Mbeumo and Eze in, if you have a similar team to me and want to take Adingra and Bowen out, I would just bring Mbeumo in this week, bring Cole Palmer in next week, as his fixtures aren't too bad. Because I can afford it, I think the Eze and Mbeumo moves do make sense, But as mentioned, with the price rises and only 0.1 in the bank at the moment, this might go down to the line. Now the last transfer plan I want to talk about is if Jarrod Bowen is going to be fit for the weekend, if he's going to be fine for that Burnley game, if David Moyes tomorrow says that he's definitely going to start, obviously I'll keep him for that fixture. So then I'll probably do a defensive move. I have to use one free transfer anyways, so the player I'll probably take out is going to be Matty Cash. Yes, in game week 14 he has Bournemouth away, that's a good game on paper, but after that Man City and some tougher games, it just makes sense to take him out now. Now in terms of replacements, there are a few that I like. I like a Pedro Porro from Spurs, but I do worry with all those injuries at the moment. So therefore Saliba might be the safest choice. Now the only thing I don't like is like the Mbumo move. I don't like this fixture for Arsenal, Brentford away. Yes, it could be a clean sheet on the cards, but I think that Brentford probably score. However, after that, the game week doesn't end. Game week 14, 15 onwards, Arsenal have great fixtures, and as mentioned, the best defense according to the stats. Yes, this move might be slightly boring, this transfer plan might not be as exciting as the previous one, but this will allow me to keep Jarrod Bowen against Burnley if he is going to be back fit. If you guys know another defender that I could also go for, that's 100% fine. I appreciate all recommendations, but these are my two transfer plans at the moment. So please watch out for all the press conference news coming up on Friday. I might delay answering your questions till after that, just to give you guys the most informed answers as possible. But as always, I'll reply to every comment down below. If you have any transfer plan concerns, any team selection concerns, I'll try to help you guys out as far as possible. We will be doing a deadline stream coming up on Saturday before that Man City vs Liverpool game, so if I do see you guys there, let's hope game week 13 is an absolute cracker. But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please remember to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hopefully see you guys in the deadline stream coming up on Saturday. But for the time being, I'm going to be signing off. It's me, Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.